I was too lazy to set up the phone stand, so leaning on my computer on my bed. You've seen worse video quality from me. Um, Honestly, I wanted to talk about fandom. No, I'm not that old. I'm 19, so I have not been here since like a live journal and all that. But I did grow up on fan fiction. When I was in, I think, sixth grade is when I discovered fan fiction. I remember writing really bad smut on fanfiction.net, and during the purges, some of my stuff got taken down. And I remember when Tumblr was a place where you could post any and everything. I just that big community. I've actually made several friends, real life friends who I write letters to and send gifts to every year through fandom. And I know that for a lot of people, it's just the thing you do for fun, but for a lot of people, it's also a big part of their life. Now, what differs here is how you make fandom, or the internet in general, a part of your life. Because there's been a shift. If you go back and look at fandom in the early days, it was very much like going to a buffet with no labels and anything. You just reach in and grab something, and if you got what you got, and either you put it back or you kept it. So in the start, there was like websites where you'd go specifically for Spock/Kirk fan fiction, and it'd be very highly moderated, but there'd be a community to it. And that shifted to a basically all you can eat buffet, order whatever you want. There's no longer any sense of what's in here because we have tagging systems. AO3 and Tumblr both have very great tagging systems where it's not just like fanfiction.net where you put down the genre and that's it, and then like the ship. You no longer have to stumble onto content you don't want to read. You make the choice to click on it, and that's on you. It's your choice to make the click. And recently, we've kind of gone past the honeymoon phase of AO3. We're no longer in that phase where we're all enamored with it and so happy moving over. We've gone past that. Now we're at the point where we're entitled. We've had a shift in general internet culture where now it's no longer people on the internet who are people, it's their content providers. They provide content to me, and therefore I am entitled to their content. And so you'll get things such as, for example, non-con, which is for the most part tagged, or it'll say creator chose not to use mornings, which tells you that there's probably non-con in it. And people will click on it and then go in the comments and write, "How dare you write this horrible, nasty thing that doesn't cater specifically to me exactly." The world does not revolve around you. And the same thing really goes for just internet at large. Almost any social media site, you kind of get this feeling of separation from who is on the other side of the screen. Maybe you don't think about it as there's a person on the other side, but in my internet experience, almost everyone I've talked to, like long term, I've met a lot of people on the internet who I consider to be real friends. And I do engage with people in my real life through the internet. So for me, I don't have that distance. Like if I'm watching a TikTok video or watching someone on YouTube, they're a person, we're just not friends. It's like it's like two ships passing in the night. But some people don't see it like that, which is crazy to me. And you see like this culture and fandom specifically. See, I was in Voltron fandom at the height of it. As in, my ass used to throw the parties whenever a new season dropped. I'd watch it twice, write down everything, and so I could write fanfiction on it later. Like, I cosplayed for it. Voltron. Ooh. I've literally wrote 250,000 words of fanfiction for Voltron. Probably more because I deleted the Tumblrs that I had where I did like asks and all that. So I remember when it was in its height, and there was someone going around in the Voltron fandom and making a block list of everyone who shipped the bad ships, and then reporting them to the child endangerment hotline with the FBI. Because the FBI really cares if some teenagers are shipping other fictional teenagers who are cartoons. And honestly, you could argue back and forth on the Tumblr posts about it. You could argue all day, but you're not going to convince anyone on the other side of the line because they don't want to be convinced. You're so deep inside of whatever your thought process is, you're not going to willingly be convinced you're switching over. Like, I was never an anti because being an anti implies that you are bullying people because they disagree with you. That's what an anti is. You can dislike something and just not engage with it. No, antis want to bully people. I was never an anti. But I did, in the start, You know, that's a lie, actually. The internet raised me. I'm a product of the internet. I got my sex ed from Omega and Alpha fanfiction, which was not great when I actually talked about it with friends in school. So, not great. But I have seen people who have shifted over from being antis to being pro shippers, and that's become because of their own experience. They realize, for example, let's say there's a ship. I'm not super into all these ships anymore. Lord. Let's say I'm trying to think of the good one. We'll go back to Voltron here. Let's say they realize they like Keith, which is Keith and Shiro, and they mention this to a friend, and then it's like prosecution. It's like a witch hunt. It's literally like a witch hunt. You say the wrong thing, and they're beating down your door because you like the wrong thing, and you have to kind of perform it. You have to perform your disapproval in like a bold way so everyone knows which side of the line you're on. You can't just not have opinions on things. You have to be bold, you have to show your opinion. And it's tiring. Don't you feel tired? Isn't it like stressful seeking out things that trigger you, or not even trigger, because we use the word trigger. This is a side point here, but we use the word trigger so much that it has no meaning anymore. And so when someone actually says this is a trigger, you tend to think lesser of it and think they just don't like it. What we need to say is, if something is a squick for you, something that you don't like, then don't search it out. If you click on something that squicks you, that you don't like, exit out and move on. Trying to convince the person they're a bad person, bullying the person, continuing to seek out that content, you're hurting yourself. You're hurting yourself. What you need to learn how to do to enjoy the internet to its fullest, here's number one thing. You curate your own experience. I've had fun on Tumblr in the past couple years. I've made friends on there. I've had plenty of great conversations. I enjoy the fandom. You know why? I block people who get on my nerves. You don't have any obligation to describe why you're blocking someone. You don't have an obligation to allow someone into your internet space. It's like being in real life. If I'm going to college and some guy in my class is harassing me, I'm just going to switch classes. I'm not going to just sit there and let him talk shit all day. So, in recap, just a recap before we leave for the day, because we'll get to that later. Just a little recap here. Fandom is supposed to be fun. The internet is supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be a positive experience. You curate your own experience. So if you're going out there and spreading negativity or looking for negativity, you're going to find it. You're not going to have fun on the internet. I, in general, enjoy the internet. I have fun with fandom, with Tumblr, with anything that I engage with. I have fun with it. And I am deeply engaged in internet culture. Don't get me wrong there. I've been deeply engaged in fandom since I was 8 or 9. And so this is not something I'm saying as an outsider. I know how you can get riled up about it. I know how you can get super engaged. It doesn't mean you have to be all the time. You don't have to. You can choose to engage in a way that's only positive. Make this into a fun, positive thing for you. So this, dear viewers, is where you part. I want to just reiterate here that I'm only here for fun. I have some free time. Sometimes I don't feel like, say, working on a cosplay or writing fan fiction or playing a video game, and I do enjoy talking to people. And that's why I'm here, to have fun conversations about things that we're all passionate about, or at least care somewhat about. Honestly, I'd be happier if all the attention shifted elsewhere, because it'll happen eventually, but just to reiterate, my opinions, my page. If my experience on here becomes negative, I reserve the right to make it positive again. If you make it to the end of the video, the password is Putin. And I'll see you guys next time.